I think that Timbaland was, to a degree, a sacrificial lamb. He did what he did.
But I did have a conversation with them, with Suno, and they told me they were very displeased.
Okay, you're not afraid to. Okay, because there are a lot of people who have had similar conversations and they will not. You know what? Let me shut up.
But for me, like, I'm not afraid. What are they gonna do? I'm just gonna tell you guys the truth.
It really does feel like the AI tech bros used Timbaland for his platform to promote their product, which he did very well. I don't think Suno would be as popular as it is without Timbaland as a spokesperson. And then when Timbaland started getting a little too controversial, a little too problematic, and he did that thing with the K-Fresh beat, and he created those AI videos mocking songwriters, in true colonizer fashion, the tech bros were like, wait a minute, we don't know you like that anymore. And there was a lot that I heard behind the scenes about his relationship with Suno that made me feel bad. It's not stuff that I can speak on. However, on a live with Jane Lee, she actually said what I had been hearing from people who wanted to remain anonymous, who were actually in conversations with these power players. So when she said it publicly, she doesn't give a fuck. I was like, oh, word. Yeah, you're like the fourth person to say that.
Because they needed somebody like Tim to boost this program out there.
And he boosted that program. I mean,
yeah,
Suno would not be what they are today without Timbaland.
Right. But I did have a conversation with them, with Suno, and they told me they were very displeased with how he went about the whole thing. But then
you're saying it. Okay, you're not afraid to. Okay, because there are a lot of people who have had similar conversations and they will not. You know what? Let me shut up. Continue, please.
But for me, like, I'm not afraid. What are they gonna do? I'm just gonna tell you guys the truth. Is that they're very displeased, and at the same time, this is what I said to them, DJ Payne. I said, DJ Payne 1. Everyone say the 1. Don't forget to say the 1. I said, if you don't speak out against what with K-Fresh, then you're actually endorsing what had happened anyways. So you are not in a place to be displeased or not do anything, because you won't even speak out about that. And that's why creatives like you, me, everybody here, we don't trust you.
Well, we don't trust them also because they've come right out and said, yes, we've trained on millions of copyrighted songs, and what are you going to do about it? It was really a challenge, because I think ultimately their strategy was, look, we're too big to fail at this point. We have so much, and I think that's what they were bargaining on, and honestly, it was a smart move. It was absolutely evil. I'm against it, but they know how the music business works, and they know that once they're too big, once the genie's out of the bottle, you cannot put it back in.
And you know, it's sad for all of us, the whole producer community that came up on the era of, you know, Timbaland's ingenuity, to see this happen. And I think that just adds to our frustration. It adds to the backlash. But realistically speaking, he's an end user. He's a spokesperson. He's a mouthpiece. He's not an owner. He didn't create Suno. And though I do feel like he's getting an undue amount of criticism, especially in proportion to what the actual owners of these AI platforms that are stealing from us are actually getting, because we're not giving them as much static as we're giving Timbaland. It does feel like he either doesn't know how AI works, or he just has absolutely no interest in being moral. And he said as much. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. This is a conversation he had with Jane Lee after my live conversation with her. They're friends. They definitely argue a lot. But listen to this, and you tell me, and hopefully other producers cover this. I don't think many people in the producer community even saw this footage.
I'm saying that we could appreciate the product. Yes, it might be amazing. Yes, it's above quality, but should we not examine the steps that it took to make the product?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So let's say that the bag was made in a sweat factory, and all these kids were making it, and they didn't get paid, and the product ended up.
You're talking different. You talking about getting paid. I'm talking about no. Don't flip it. No, you saying paid. I'm talking about I'm talking about how it's made. Period. You going into the ethical part. I'm not talking about the ethical part.
No, but I think does that matter though? That's what
I mean. No, I'm gonna stick to the music part. Jane, I'm not gonna go to the ethical part. Of course, that don't matter. Everybody wants to get paid, but that's not the point. The point is the feeling.
If I bought this bag and you find out that it's a bunch of orphans over there making it, regardless how good the quality is, I'm not gonna support them no more because they don't take care of the people.
That's too deep. I'm a creator. I'm gonna worry about that later.
So that's really difficult to defend. And I'm not saying anyone has to defend or criticize Timbaland. I'm just showing you information that I think gives us insight into why he would align himself with and promote the interests of a company that has admitted to stealing, has admitted. I don't understand why at this point Timbaland seems to be confused as to why people are upset about his use of AI technology and about the actual process by which this technology was created when it's all out in the open. So I'm confused by him being confused. So when I make videos like this, a lot of people ask me, well, okay, well, why are you even talking about it? You have no solutions. I disagree. I think I often offer at least abstract ideas as solutions, if not offering actual concrete alternatives like try this AI platform over here because they're at least ethically trained, or why don't we refer to this legislation? But Miss Crystal, aka Top Music Attorney, or I guess Top Music Attorney isn't her, it's her channel, is suing the AI companies, and she has a lot to say about it, and she's a lawyer. So when it comes to the legal stuff, you know, she's up here. She's on an elevated level because she's been practicing for a while and she's actually a music attorney. Where are these ideas coming from? Is there some secret AI propaganda fund or something where, you know, you hear the same talking points over and over again and they're just completely invalid because ultimately the conversation is artists saying, hey, you stole our music, make this right. And the rebuttal to that is, well, what about auto-tune? Or it's inevitable, just let it happen. Or why are you afraid of AI? You don't feel secure in yourself as an artist. It's like, if you steal my car and I say, give me my car back, and your response is, oh, you think there aren't other cars on the planet? You think what? You must be broke, thinking that you can't buy another car. That's your issue. You're just broke. What? Why are you so broke that you need this car back that I just took from you? It's a really ridiculous non-dialogue, and I think, is there some sort of coordination here? What's going on? Or are people really just that weird?
I think sometimes there's a general misunderstanding. That's really an important piece. So if someone hears that we're suing Suno and Udio, you know, maybe there's an automatic assumption without watching the video or having any kind of context. You hate these companies, you hate AI, all of that. And that's not what it is at all, right? So there's a misunderstanding piece. But the thing I care about so very greatly for AI artists or people who use Suno and Udio as real musicians, as real producers, but they use it for inspiration. Wherever you fall, there's a whole bunch of people somewhere in the spectrum. I'm really concerned for people using these platforms because there is a huge issue of these lookalike songs. There's this huge issue of, are you going to get sued because you made a song on Suno and Universal's like, that's literally our song. It's a derivative. And there's a mistake. There's an automation. There's an issue. That's truly what I'm concerned about. So I go, these lawsuits ultimately are for the benefit of even AI artists because it's to create that clarity. It's to create a system. And truly, it's to protect the users as well on these platforms.
We've been going so crazy with the beat collabs. I want to show you what one of the members of the Discord just sent me. And that was just based on a collab idea that I shared in the Discord. So I'm about to upload this to my BeatStars and hope it sells. If you want access to the private Discord, if you want to get access to all of my drum kits, all of my sample packs that I release from now, actually the last two that I released are free if you join right now. So you're saving a ton of money just doing that. And then the next couple packs I'm working on a new drum kit and a new sample pack. Those will be free as well, as long as you're a member. Yeah, I mean, when Ben Jordan was discovering, I think it was Ben Jordan who found all those producer tags, or at least exposed all those producer tags coming out of Suno's input, or out of Suno's output. I found it coming out of Google's, I think it was called Music LLM initially, or it had some weird name. I heard producer tags on there. So yes, if anyone would have taken those tracks and marketed them, promoted them, or even published them and tried to sell them, and hey, there's an honorable C note tag in there, or Cash Money AP tag in there, that's intellectual property, and it's very clear that you are misusing it, you're infringing on it, and now you're liable.
Yeah, and then if we have an issue of, because we look at the terms of service for Suno, for example, if you use Suno, there's a huge brick wall between any liability of Suno and you. So meaning Universal sues you. They say that your Suno song infringes our rights and all this. It's not like you can go and get Suno to pay your bills and to protect you and whatever, because the contract you signed says you're going to indemnify, you're going to have to deal with it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's very much to the ongoing issues like we saw with Timbaland uploading music and, the ongoing infringement that's happening. So there's different steps of this, but at the end of the day, truly, these lawsuits are not just for the songs of musicians and artists and producers who, were used without authorization that should have been licensed, but it's for the people who are currently using Suno and Udio.
Yeah, because one thing these labels will do is take legal action when they feel as though their catalogs have been infringed on. And one thing they have is endless financial and legal resources. So it should disturb more people than it does. But again, as you said, there's a fundamental misunderstanding of IP law, fundamental misunderstanding of what generative AI actually entails as a process. And I'm of the opinion that even people that love generative AI and promotes platforms, Timbaland, for example, I don't fully believe that he understands what's even happening with the training, with the legal implications of that, because otherwise I don't think he would expose himself like that.
It was pretty shocking. And, the comment that I had, because they had the, public apology for the K-Fresh situation and uploading a beat into Suno without authorization, all that. And then Timbaland put out his statement, which also had a statement from his lawyer. And I just really commented on the lawyer, just being like, he did nothing wrong legally. And I go, that's not the case. That's not how that works. So, again, back to my, make sure you know who you're hiring as your attorney.
Well, was that her covering his ass, or do you think that was just her completely misunderstanding what actually went on?
Well, just taking a complete case, taking it for exactly what it was. If your attorney is telling you that you are not doing anything wrong by taking someone else's beat and putting it into a third-party platform, you're duplicating it. You are literally committing copyright infringement in that act if you didn't have permission. And if your lawyer is telling you that's okay, the information you're getting is wrong. So if that's the case, then perhaps we have a situation where Timbaland thinks that he's not doing anything wrong because his lawyer is telling him he's not doing anything wrong.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I think Timbaland gets a ton of backlash because he's putting himself in between the public and these AI companies. And the AI companies somehow skirt all the criticism, and Timbaland's getting all of it, And after making a lot of content about this, I realized, granted, Timbaland deserves to be held accountable for what he's done and what he's said, but as we all do, all of us do. But it does feel like he's getting a lot of the backlash. One, because he's the celebrity. Two, maybe the AI platforms are using him as a shield. And three, probably because all of us producers or the majority of us producers that are upset about seeing, for example, what he did to K-Fresh, are feeling emotional about our love for him as a role model. And then seeing him do this, it just shocks us on a visceral level, on an emotional level.
Yeah, very well said. And, I think that Timbaland was, to a degree, a sacrificial lamb. He did what he did. Okay, yes, we were held responsible for what he did. But to your point about, essentially, I hope he got paid a whole lot by Suno for everything that he has now endured to kind of take up this cause. And he's not the only one. He is not the first one. It's funny. I thought will.i.am was going to be kind of the front runner of this and whatnot, because he's very open and vocal. But in any case, it happened to be Timbaland, and he's continuing on with the the agenda and the crusade. He launched Tata. I checked out her Instagram yesterday, and a little snippet of the first song that's coming, and he's continuing on for sure.
will.i.am has been incredibly political, though. I recall him being asked about the backlash that Timbaland's receiving, and it sounded to me that he effectively was of the opinion that Timbaland should have been coached to deal with, PR, how to present all of this, because I don't think will.i.am is at all opposed to what's happening with generative AI. As problematic as it is, he's just keeping his mouth shut and more or less being a silent partner or a silent investor, because he's heavily invested in Udio, I believe, right?
Yeah. Well, on Timbaland's a spokesperson for Suno.
For Suno, and will.i.am is invested in Udio.
Yeah, well, I mean, either way, it's just kind of like, if you're going to sign on and you are, like Timbaland, a prolific, legendary music producer, and you are now, again, the sacrificial lamb that is taking on all this heat. I mean, again, I just, on the whole virality of everything that happened, calling out Timbaland, exposing Timbaland, there wasn't so much Suno in there. I'm like, we're all looking at Suno. We're seeing what's happening on Suno. And so me just kind of, looking at this, especially from the standpoint of us filing these class action lawsuits against the companies themselves that are the problem here, and just being interested in seeing where.
Not suing Timbaland. That would be ridiculous to try to sue him via some sort of class action, because he didn't build these platforms. He's not making $500 million off these platforms like Mr. Schulman is.
Yeah, and look, in the realm of very important independent artist issues, right now it's these generative AI platforms, but the biggest one, and even bigger, that we've been talking about more than a year, are music distributors, right? That's a deeper conversation for a different time. But in the realm of, do we need to join up together and file class action lawsuits against these distributors? Well, all I could say is we're working on different things.
Okay, so how do people follow you? How do people sign on and read more about the class action lawsuits and get additional updates about additional legal developments that you just hinted at? Because that's a big deal. I'm going to need to talk to you about that in the future.
Yeah, well, there's so much to talk about. So indieailawsuit.com, if you want to just follow, right, get on our email list. We're doing an open letter. And so, if you want to sign the open letter, basically just standing right in support of just what we're trying to do here. Or if you do want to join as a plaintiff, that's the website to go to. And then, if you're just not even, down for anything AI whatsoever, and you just want to learn, you're just trying to literally work on your career and write your songs and stay legally protected. That's what we do with Top Music Attorney on YouTube. And we go live every week. And, it's really just such an honor to be able to do all of this.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And hopefully this lawsuit gets a lot of support, and it spreads awareness, and it eventually creates a fairer situation. I wish something like this had been available for us during the streaming negotiations, because we were completely eliminated from that conversation. We were excluded 100%. And this time, at very least, you were trying to get us a seat at the table.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for helping to spread the message and for everything you do on your channel.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.